Hi and welcome to another story, and today we have part 7 of Best Friends by Jacqueline Wilson, continuing from chapter 10. "Give us a hand with the dishes, Gemma," said Mum, piling them up in the sink. "Oh, Mum, that's not fair, the boys never help," I said. Callum and Jack slipped smartly upstairs. "Jack, wait for me," I called. "Why are you always hanging around Jack nowadays?" Mum asked suspiciously. "You keep disappearing into his room." "He's just letting me use his computer for a bit, Mum," I said. "He shows me how to look up stuff on the internet." Said Mum. She still looked suspicious. "What sort of stuff? It's nothing naughty, is it?" "Mum, no, it's for this project thingy." "What project? Is it for homework?" That's right, homework," I said quickly. "You've never been bothered about making an effort with your homework before," said Mum. "Are you telling the kid off for trying hard with her homework?" Dad called from the sofa in the living room. "Give her a break, Liz." "Yeah, Mum, give me a break," I said, dodging out the way as she swatted me with the tea towel. I was determined not to get lumbered with any more chores like the boring old dishes. I was working flat out as it was, appeasing Jack. He let me use his computer to email Alice via this Flora girl, and he saved her emails back to me, but at a price. He didn't demand actual cash as he knew I didn't have any. No, I had to act like his general servant, finding all his pongy old socks from under his bed and putting them in the laundry basket, dusting the geeky collection of paper aeroplanes dangling from his ceiling, even rinsing round the bath after he'd used it. "Would you like me to flush the flipping toilet for you while I'm at it?" I added sarcastically. This was a big mistake. I also had to change his horrible dinosaur duvet cover, a job I hate. I was far too exhausted afterwards to tackle changing my own duvet, and Mum lectured me for hours. "I was just too tired to change it, Mum," I said truthfully. Mum went on and on about how tired she was, running the house for a family of 5. Surely it was the least a daughter could do to lend a hand. Even Jack was getting a lot more responsible now about his laundry and keeping his room spick and span, even though he was so busy with all his school studies, plus being the #1 dog walker in the family. I wouldn't have minded walking Barking Mad myself as one of my chores, but Jack wouldn't let me. However, if he let Barking Mad off the lead up the common, he would roll in the smelliest dung heap he could find. Barking Mad, that is, not my brother. Then guess who had to try to give the silly dog a bath? Me. But all these extra chores were worth it, as I could now communicate properly with Alice. I didn't like having to start off tapping out a message to Flora first. I didn't much like the sound of her. Still, I tried to be ultra polite as she let Alice use her computer. "Hello, Flora, it's me, Gemma. Alice's best friend. Thank you very much for letting us write to each other. Now, here is my private message for Alice. Don't read it, okay? Dearest Alice, how are you? Are you still missing me? Lots and lots and lots. I am missing you more, if that is possible. It is so lonely and no one understands, and they're all being hateful to me." Oh, Jack has just looked at the screen and he says he's being exceptionally kind to me by letting me use his computer. I suppose that's true, but it's at great cost to me. Callum is being okay too, actually. He took me out to McDonald's yesterday evening and he bought me a Happy Meal, and when it didn't have the special Blue 2 Kung Fu Fighter toy I particularly wanted, he bought me another Happy Meal, and the little blue guy was in that. So now he's got Red Zed to fight with. Yay! I expect Callum only asked me out because Alicia was seeing her girlfriend, but it was still sweet of him. Grandad's being so kind too, though he won't buy me cream cakes anymore. Dad keeps tickling me to try to make me smile. Mum was okay for a bit, but now she's nag as always. Still, they're mostly all right at home, but it's horrible at school. Mrs. Watson was quite nice for a bit, but now you will never ever guess what she's done. We have to do this stupid project about a famous person with a partner, and she says I have to be partners with Biscuit. I'm not going to be his partner. Do you have to be partners with anyone at your new school, or are you allowed to work on your own if you want? Lots and lots and lots of love from your best ever friend for always, Gemma. Hi, Gem. Thanks for your really long message. I can't write back as much because it would be a bit rude to Flora, seeing as it's her computer. I've got to be quick anyway because we've got a ballet class at 5. Flora's mum is taking us. I do hope I do okay. Flora is brilliant at ballet, heaps better than me. I hope I'm not the worst in the whole class. What's the project? Poor you getting stuck with Biscuits. They're in the middle of this Egyptian project in my new class, and I got worried because I didn't know anything about them, but Flora's lent me her notes, so she's sort of my partner, I suppose. It's very kind of her to help out. This is just a pretty pattern. It's an Egyptian hieroglyphic. Lots and lots of love from your best friend, Alice. Hello, Flora. This is a very private message for Alice. You stop reading now. Dearest Alice, you know heaps about the Egyptians, don't you remember? Callum took us up to London and we saw the mummies in the museum, and it was so cool. only you found it a little bit creepy, even the cat mummies. But I bet the computer girl, Flora, hasn't seen real mummies. You tell her all about them, and I'll make you up a story about them, and I'll go to work on it right away, all about a terrible curse, and a mummy who comes back to life, and its bandages fall off, and little blackened bits of flesh crumble off too. It will be dead scary, and will seriously impress all your new classmates. Only don't get too matey with anyone in particular, will you? Lots and lots and lots of love from your best ever friend who will never ever break friends, Gemma. I was certainly not matey with anyone at school, especially not Biscuits. I wasn't speaking to him, which made this stupid project a bit of a problem. Still, I thought I'd solve things. I didn't speak to Biscuits. I addressed the space in front of him and announced my intentions. I'm doing my famous person project on Michael Owen because he is the best footballer ever and you can't really get more famous than that. I've got all this stuff about him and I can just copy it out easy peasy and cut out a few photos from the papers, and I might even include one of my posters for the project presentation. I thought I was being ultra kind and generous, saving Biscuits an immense amount of work. Was he grateful for my suggestion? Absolutely not. I think you've got something wrong with your eyes, Gemma. You're talking to me, but you're staring into space. It's very spooky. I'm not talking to you, Biscuits. I told you I can't stick you. If you weren't such a rotten coward, I'd fight you. I'm simply speaking out loud, talking to myself about this project. Talking to yourself is the first sign of madness, said Biscuits. I'm not surprised. I think you've gone seriously bonkers, Gemma Jackson. Still, you're supposed to humour lunatics, so I will. Only I'm not doing a project on Michael Owen. I'm not into football. I don't know anything about him. You don't need to know. I'm telling you. I've got all this stuff. But I want to do something different. Heaps of people are doing footballers. You're Michael Owen or David Beckham. I want an original choice. Oh yeah? Like who? Fat Larry. Who? You've never heard of Fat Larry? Are they like a pop group? It's a him, Larry. Who's fat? He's this brilliant TV chef. You must have seen him. He wears those amazing huge sparkly suits and a big diamond earring. Oh, very tasteful. Not. And each programme he cooks for a different group of people, like kids in a hospital, or old ladies in a home, or a group of mums on an estate. They always look sad or weird or bored to start with, and not really into food at all, but Fat Larry cheers them all up and cooks them something yummy, and at the end of the programme, they're all laughing and eating and having a whale of a time. And there's a cartoon of Fat Larry as a whale at the end of the programme after the credits. What are you, a publicity guy for this Fat Larry? I just think he's great, that's all. He's famous. I want to do a project on him. I bet nobody else is. Yeah, because nobody else cares about Fat Larry. Look, we're doing a Michael Owen project. I said, I've got all the info. And so have I. I've got all 3 Fat Larry cookery books. Oh, big deal. With recipes. We can make stuff for when we present our project. I looked at him properly. What sort of stuff? Anything. We could have little trays and pass canopies around, or little cakes, or mini pizzas. Whatever. I could do a cookery demonstration, Fat Larry style. I know heaps of his jokes, and I kind of look a little like Fat Larry myself. Hey, maybe my mum could get some sparkly material cheap down the market and make me my own miniature Fat Larry suit. I could do football demonstrations. I've got a Liverpool football kit, so I could be Michael Owen, I said, but my face lacked conviction. I was only arguing for the sake of it. I could see Biscuit's project was a brilliant idea. For him. Suppose you did do Fat Larry. What could I do? You could read out the recipes, said Biscuits. What, like your assistant? No way. I'll be Fat Larry and you can read out the recipes. You're just being daft now. You don't look anything like him. I could impersonate him. Easy peasy. But you've never even seen him on the telly. You're being dead awkward, Jem. Still, I'll make allowances seeing as you're going through a sad time missing Alice. All because of you. No, it wasn't, and you know it. I suppose deep, deep, deep down I knew it wasn't really Biscuit's fault. Alice and I would have been caught whether he'd told us or not. Or we'd have got the train back home again anyway, because I knew we couldn't really live in London all by ourselves. But I didn't feel ready to acknowledge any of this, particularly to Biscuit. It was your fault, Fatso. Fatso Larry. I'm going to be him. Do you hear? No, I'm going to be him, and I'll get my mum to make me a sparkly suit, see? Now clear off. I'm not speaking to you, remember? For a girl who's not speaking, you don't half gab, 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 said Biscuits cheerfully. He produced a large tin-foil package from his school bag and unwrapped it carefully. It was 2 slices of the most fabulous mouth-watering chocolate cake, decorated with scarlet cherries and white whipped cream. Biscuits took a very large bite. Cream and chocolate oozed all over his fat fingers. He licked them happily, one by one. Yummy, he said. A special Fat Larry recipe, delicious. Though I shouldn't say that because I made it myself. You can't make cake like that, Biscuits. I can so. Well, my mum helped a bit. You mean you helped her? You can scoff all you like, Gemma, but when I'm presenting our Fat Larry project, you'll see I can cook. When I'm being Fat Larry, you'll see I can cook, I said, although my heart was starting to beat faster. I was pretty sure I could pretend to be Fat Larry easily enough, once I'd sussed out what he actually looked like. Though I wasn't totally sure I could get Mum to make me a suit, sparkly or otherwise. But actual cookery was something else altogether. I'd once tried to make pancakes for Alice and me when Mum was working late and Dad was asleep. I'd watched Mum on Pancake Day and it looked dead easy. Alice wasn't so sure. She was right. I whipped up some eggs and some milk and tipped some flour in, but it all went lumpy. I hoped it would all blend together in the frying pan. It didn't. I turned the heat up to encourage it, and then I chatted to Alice and ate a few raisins and dug my finger into the butter and coated it with sugar as I was getting ravenous by this time. Then I noticed a funny smell. When I investigated, I found the lumpy pancake was rapidly turning black. I thought it might help to toss it. Big mistake. Crispy cinders flew everywhere and fat spilled all over the stove. We tried to clean it all up, but we couldn't quite manage it. The frying pan was coated in a thick black crust, and we couldn't shift it. I don't want to remember what happened when Mum came home. It's too painful. I've never wanted to try my hand at cooking again, put it that way. Tell you what, let me be Fat Larry and I'll give you half my cake, said Biscuits, holding a slice right under my nose so I could smell its divine rich chocolate. I so wanted a slice. I didn't want to cook. I didn't really want a sparkly suit. I didn't even want to track Fat Larry down on the telly. But I couldn't give up now. I didn't want to give in to Biscuits. I didn't want to make friends. Yuck, I said. I absolutely hate chocolate cake, and I'm going to be Fat Larry. So there. Chapter 11. Have you ever heard of Fat Larry, Grandad? I asked as he walked home from school. Yes, he's a TV chef. A bit of a laugh. I don't mind his programme, but Nigella's my favourite. Grandad started burbling on about this Nigella until I tugged at his sleeve. No, Grandad, I need to know about Fat Larry. When he's on the telly, I want to watch. Why haven't I ever seen him? He's on at 7:30. Your mum will be watching her curry then, won't she? I'll video Fat Larry if you like, pet. Can you do the Fat Larry recipes, Grandad? You're joking, aren't you? I'm not one of these new men. I'm an old man and my limit's blooming beans on toast. You know that. Grandad sighed. I'd give anything for one of your grandma's roast beef dinners and lovely golden Yorkshire pudding, and she used to make wonderful trifle and apple pies and fruitcake. Maybe I'll take after her. I'll make you lots of lovely nosh, Grandad. You're a very talented girl, little gem, but I don't think you're a natural cook. Your mum told me all about the dreaded pancake disaster. She stopped my pocket money for weeks to pay for a new frying pan. She hardly uses it now anyway, because she says fried food is bad for you. Grandad, Mum doesn't make Yorkshire pud, but she does do roast chicken on Sundays sometimes. Why don't you come round for lunch? That's sweet of you, Gemma, but I'm generally quite happy pottering down to the pub over lunchtime, or I'm out working at weekends when they're short of a driver. Maybe I can wangle you another little trip in the White Rolls if I'm booked for a wedding, sweetheart. What are you up to on Saturday? Nothing, I said, sighing. I don't know what to do with myself. I plagued Jack until he let me send a long email to Alice. I'd wondered if she might be playing around at Flora's house so I could get a reply straight away. No such luck. I badly wanted to hear from her, but it was actually a relief to know that they weren't weekend friends. I didn't like the sound of this Flora one little bit. It looked like she was trying to get Alice to be her best friend. Still, she didn't stand a chance. I knew that. Callum asked if I wanted to go for a walk down to the park. He took his bike and let me muck around on it, trying to do all sorts of daft tricks. They didn't always work. The third time I fell off, I scraped a tiny bit of the paintwork. I held my breath because Callum's ultra picky about keeping his bike pristine, but he barely looked at it. He fussed about my knees instead, spitting on a scrubby bit of tissue, trying to get them cleaned up. Ouch, I said. Sorry I scratched your bike, Cal. That's okay. I'm rubbish at riding it. No, you're not. You'd be great. It's just your legs are still little. My bike's way too big. We're going to have to get you your own bike, Gem. Oh, yeah, I said, because bikes cost a fortune. We could look for a little second-hand one, something that maybe needs fixing up a bit. I could do that for you. It could be your birthday present. I thought about my birthday next month, the first birthday without Alice. I don't think I want to bother about my birthday, I said. That's daft, Gem. We'll make it a really special day, you'll see, said Callum. He was trying so hard to be sweet to me, even though he was hurting my knees horribly, but I couldn't pretend. It can't be a special day without Alice, I said, and I burst into tears. Once I'd started, I couldn't stop. Callum didn't have any more tissues to mop me with, so he popped me on the saddle and wheeled me home quick. Mum was out working, so she couldn't tell me off about my knees. We'd better wash them properly and put some sort of stuff on them to stop them going mouldy, said Callum. Where's Dad? He wasn't lying on the sofa watching television. He wasn't still in bed. The taxi was parked in the driveway, so he wasn't out at work. So where's he got to, said Callum, taking me by the hand. Maybe he's in the garden. Mum had been having a right old nag at him recently to mow the lawn, but the grass was still ankle high and spattered with gold dandelions. There was no lawnmower noise, but we could hear a distant sawing. Dad, Callum called. There was a muffled shout from the old shed at the bottom of the garden. Dad, what are you up to? Callum yelled, taking me down the garden. Look, Gemma's hurt herself. She's what? Dad shouted, still sawing. Callum opened the shed door. Look at her knees, he said, but Dad immediately shoved the door shut again. Dad? Just a tick, Dad called. We could hear him bustling around. Then he opened the door to us. There was an old tarpaulin thrown over his workbench. What's under that? I sniffled. Never you mind, said Dad. Oh, God, look at the state of you. What are we going to do with you, Jem? You're always in the wars. I felt like I really had been in a war, and I hadn't won. I was totally defeated. I didn't want to do anything. I sprawled on Dad's sofa most of the time, watching television. I didn't always watch the screen. I stared into space and saw Alice instead. Sometimes this phantom Alice waved to me and told me how much she was missing me. She sometimes cried too, but other times she was smiling. She wasn't smiling at me. She was smiling at this Flora girl. Then they'd both wave at me and scoot off together, arms linked. Mum came home from work and caught me crying. She thought it was my sore knees. She went on and on about them. The last lot of scabs have only just cleared up, you silly girl. What am I going to do with you, eh? How can we get you all dressed up nicely in a pretty dress if you've always got cuts and scrapes and bruises all over you? She said, dabbing Savlon on my knees. Ow! I don't want to get dressed up nicely. I hate getting dressed up. I especially hate dresses. Yes, well, that lovely yellow dress will never be the same again, said Mum, shaking her head at me. You were such a naughty girl, Gemma. What a waste of money that dress was. I thought you could wear it for your birthday party. I don't want a birthday party this year, I said. Not without Alice. Of course you do. You can invite some of your other friends, said Mum. Haven't got any other friends, I said. Don't be so silly. You've got heaps of friends, dear. What about the funny boy with the silly nickname? Cookie, chocolates, pudding. I haven't got a clue who you're talking about, Mum, I lied. Well, anyway, you start thinking about who you want to invite. I put my chin on my chest. Alice, I mumbled. Mum sighed. There must be some girls in your class that you like, Gemma. They're all right, I suppose, but they're just not my friends. Maybe a special birthday party could be an excellent way of making friends. So what are you going to wear, I realise you don't like yellow, but what colour dress would you like? I shrugged my shoulders. I thought about the message Alice had tucked into the sleeve of the awful canary dress. Tears dribbled down my cheeks. Now stop that silly crying, said Mum, but she sat down on the sofa beside me and put her arm around me. What about blue for a dress? You like blue, Gemma? She had another look at my shredded knees. Maybe I'm wasting my time talking about dresses. Suppose we bought you a smart little pair of trousers, really well cut with a designer t-shirt. Would you like that, Poppet? I know what I'd really like as a party outfit, I said suddenly. I'd like a great big sparkly suit. Mum gave me a double take. A great big sparkly suit, she said wearily. Don't be silly, Gemma. I decided not to push too hard just yet. I'd have to work on it. Besides, I wasn't quite sure exactly the kind I wanted. Grandad remembered to video Fat Larry and showed me after school the following week. It's quite a good show. That Fat Larry's a right laugh, said Grandad. He's certainly a good advert for his nosh. Look at the size of him. Fat Larry was a very, very fat man. His crimson sparkly suit was very, very big. I'd have to stick a cushion down my trousers to pad myself out a bit, if Mum made me the trousers. She kept telling me there was no way her little girl was going to wear such a bizarre outfit at her own party. I hoped she might weaken. I watched Fat Larry very carefully indeed. When the programme finished, I asked Grandad if we could watch it again. Again, said Grandad. You're a funny girl, are Jem? Have you got a little crush on this Fat Larry? You were staring at him like you were transfixed. Don't tell me you've fallen in love. Grandad wiggled his eyebrows and made kissing noises. I don't love Fat Larry. I just want to look like him, I said. Grandad's eyes popped. You're one weird little kid, sweetheart, he said. But he replayed the video for me. I watched Fat Larry bouncing around the studio as if he had springs in his chunky suede shoes. I watched Fat Larry wave his big arms like windmills. I watched Fat Larry shaking seasoning into his stew pan as if he was playing the maracas. I watched Fat Larry taste his chocolate cake and lick his lips slowly, like the happiest cat in a vat of cream. When Grandad went out the room to make a cup of tea, I tried a bounce, a wave, a shake, a smile. I felt a little tingle up and down my spine. I was getting it. I made Grandad promise to video Fat Larry every time he came on television. I'm sure you can buy videos of his old shows, said Grandad. If you're really into this fat old guy, I could give you a couple for your birthday. Oh, Grandad, don't you go on about my bogging birthday too, I said. Everyone keeps asking me what I want. I know they're only being kind, but I don't really want anything, apart from a Fat Larry suit. Oh, my God, said Grandad. What's your mum going to say about that, eh? She's going to make me one, I said. Oh, yes, said Grandad. Well, she might. Grandad, you can sew, can't you? I'm a dab hand at a button sewing, darling, but I could no more make you a sparkly suit than fly to the moon. I don't want to fly to the moon, Grandad, just Scotland. I got Jack to look up on the airfare on the internet, but it costs over £100, so I haven't got a hope in bogging hell. Tut, language. Look, maybe you'll get to go up to Scotland for your holidays sometime. No, I won't. Dad says he just wants to lie on a beach in the sun. He says Scotland's too cold. And Mum wants to go somewhere where there's lots of shops. And Alice's house is right out in the country and they haven't got any shops. And it'll be too late in the summer holidays. I need to see Alice now, on our birthday. I started crying. Grandad pulled me into his lap. I leaned my head on his old jumper and breathed in the warm, woolly smell. What's getting you all worked up about this birthday, pet? Grandad asked. We always make a birthday wish, Alice and me, that we'll be best friends for ever and ever. Now this birthday we won't be together. And I'm dead scared because Alice has got this new friend, Flora. She goes on and on about her in her emails. What if Alice asks Flora round for tea on her birthday and they cut her birthday cake together and Alice and Flora make the best friends wish? I'd been thinking this for days and days, but the words just wriggled in my brain like little maggots. Now I'd said them out loud. They seemed to be buzzing round the room like angry wasps, stinging and stinging. And that is where we will leave part 7 of Best Friends by Jacqueline Wilson. I'll be back soon with the next part of this fantastic story. Thanks for listening, guys. If you'd like to subscribe or hit a like, that's always appreciated. Thanks for your support as ever. Take care. Bye-bye.